The story of World War I is not just a tale of battlefields and alliances, but a complex web of conspiracies, power struggles, and plans that altered the course of modern history. To fully understand the underlying motives and the carefully orchestrated events that led to the war, we must examine the roles of political movements, secret societies, and influential families who manipulated nations to achieve their goals. The Zionist Congress of 1903 and Max Nordau's vision in 1903. During the 6th Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland, Max Nordau made a prophetic statement. "Let me tell you the following words, as if I am taking you step by step up the ladder. The Zionist Congress, the British Uganda Project, the anticipated World War, the peace conference where, with the help of Britain, a free Jewish state will be established in Palestine." At first glance, this statement might seem speculative. However, examining the timeline of events reveals its astonishing accuracy. The Congress took place 13 years before World War I erupted, during a time when Jewish Freemasons had lost hope of overthrowing the Russian Tsarist regime. To achieve their broader vision of world domination and a unified global government, it was imperative for global Freemasonry to extend its influence over Russia. The ultimate goal was to topple the Tsarist government and transform Russia into a stronghold of atheistic communism. This, in turn, was meant to pave the way for the Freemasons to assert control over the world, a vision closely tied to the objectives of World War I. The war was not merely a conflict between nations, but a calculated move to create the conditions necessary for revolutionary change in key regions of the world. The Balkan Spark, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and the assassination that ignited war. The first major move toward war came in 1908, when Bosnia and Herzegovina were annexed by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This act, orchestrated with significant Freemason influence, created tensions in the Balkans and set the stage for a larger conflict. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austrian throne, and his wife in 1914 was the final trigger. This assassination, carried out by Freemasons, forced Austria-Hungary to declare war on Serbia. Russia, seeing the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina as a severe threat to its interests in the Balkans, prepared to intervene. Germany, however, warned Russia against taking action, with the German emperor cautioning the Tsar that any Russian intervention against Austria would provoke Germany. This escalated tensions between the great powers, pulling them closer to an inevitable war. The role of Freemasonry in the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Meanwhile, another conspiracy was unfolding in the Ottoman Empire. The Masonic Committee of Union and Progress, CUP, led opposition movements aimed at overthrowing the Islamic Ottoman state. After toppling Sultan Abdul Hamid II on April 27, 1909, the CUP gained control and eventually dragged the Ottoman Empire into World War I. This decision had devastating consequences, leading to the empire's collapse and achieving a key Zionist objective, the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, which was under Ottoman rule. The fall of the Ottoman Empire marked the end of one of the last major Islamic powers in the modern era. This collapse allowed Zionists to secure their foothold in Palestine, aided by Britain's infamous Balfour Declaration of 1917, which promised support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people. The United States. Drawn into the war, the involvement of the United States in World War I was another critical turning point, and its entry was far from coincidental. Initially, the U.S. adhered to a policy of neutrality, avoiding entanglements in European conflicts. However, behind the scenes, forces were working to bring America into the war. By 1909, the U.S. was already facing severe economic pressures. These pressures were part of a carefully designed plan to prepare America for war years before the conflict began. The planners of World War I, including influential figures within the American government, understood a simple truth. To change an entire nation's way of life, there is no method more effective than war. President Woodrow Wilson faced warnings from many of his advisors, including Secretary of State William Jennings Bryan, who noted that Wall Street's banking elites were pushing America toward war. Bryan famously remarked, "It seems there is deep interest among major banking institutions in this world war because of the vast opportunities for significant profits." The sinking of the American civilian ship Lusitania was the event that finally tipped the scales. This incident, widely believed to have been orchestrated, was used to justify America's entry into the war against Germany. What the American public did not know was that President Wilson's election itself was a deal struck with powerful financiers to establish the Federal Reserve Bank. The creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 placed America under the financial control of a few wealthy families. This system plunged the country into perpetual debt, allowing these families to manipulate the government and economy for their benefit. The war further entrenched this system, as America borrowed heavily to finance its involvement, accumulating massive debts owed to the same elite families who had orchestrated its entry into the conflict. The unexplained German withdrawal. A particularly puzzling moment in the war occurred when German forces, on the verge of defeating British forces in Western Europe, inexplicably withdrew. Adolf Hitler himself issued orders for German troops to return to their original positions and to cease fire against the British, despite the obvious collapse of British defenses. This decision remains an unsolved mystery, baffling historians and military analysts to this day. The German retreat allowed the British to regroup and ultimately survive the conflict. Many German commanders were so enraged by the decision that they mutinied, fleeing to North Africa and living in exile until the war ended. The aftermath: revolution, empire, and global change. The results of World War I were devastating and transformative. The Russian Empire fell, replaced by the Bolshevik Revolution and the rise of atheistic communism in 1917. The Ottoman Empire collapsed, paving the way for the establishment of Israel in Palestine. The German Empire was weakened, setting the stage for future conflicts. As Albert Pike, a high-ranking Freemason of the 19th century, had predicted in an 1871 letter to Giuseppe Mazzini, a prominent European Freemason, the First World War must be ignited to allow the Illuminati to overthrow the czars in Russia and transform that country into a fortress of atheistic communism. The conflicts instigated by Illuminati agents between the British and German empires will serve as the trigger for this war. By the war's end, communism will be established and used to destroy other governments and weaken religions. The war also solidified the financial and political dominance of wealthy families like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. The Rockefellers, for example, saw their wealth increase by $200 million in 1918 alone. These families, who had pushed for America's involvement in the war, tightened their grip on global power structures, sowing the seeds for future conflicts and the eventual establishment of a new world order. Conclusion: a world transformed by design. World War I was not merely a global conflict, but a meticulously planned event aimed at reshaping the political and economic landscape of the world. Behind the scenes, secret societies, financial elites, and political conspirators manipulated events to achieve their objectives. The war's legacy is one of immense human suffering, the fall of empires, and the rise of forces that continue to influence global affairs to this day. The story of World War I is just one chapter in a vast, intricate web of secrets, conspiracies, and power plays that have shaped our world. These dark truths reveal how unseen forces have influenced the course of history, often at the cost of countless lives and untold suffering. If you're fascinated by uncovering these hidden stories and want to dive deeper into the mysteries of history, conspiracies, and the darker side of world events, make sure to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you'll never miss an opportunity to explore more of these eye-opening and thought-provoking revelations. Hit the subscribe button now and join us in unraveling the untold truths of our past and present. Together, we'll shine a light on the shadows,